Hey, Steve and I have a 2017 Kia Soul here in the shop. We're going to get ready to replace the front brakes on it for you. So we'll show you how to replace the front brakes. This is a job that you can do in your driveway at home or in your garage. It's pretty easy to do on some jack stands. It's simple to do. There's only some basic hand tools involved. So you can save hundreds of dollars by doing this yourself. If you have the dealer do it for you, you're probably looking at around 6, 7, maybe even 800 bucks to do brake pads and rotors on the front of these. Things that go wrong in ways that you might know that you need brakes is that when you step on the brake, you might get a pulsation in the brake pedal because that happens a lot of times because the rotors get warped or the brake pads get jammed up inside the brake caliper and you might get a vibration or a shake in the steering wheel. So enough of that, let's roll into this video.
2017 Kia Soul here, and we're going to do front brakes on it, change the rotors. I got a 14mm socket for the caliper bolts. Crack that loose there. Crack this one loose. Take these out. And I can collapse the piston a lot with the screwdriver. So we're going to get a lot of it collapsed with that. Just pry it up and you get your screwdriver in between here, between the pad. And I'm going to flip it up on top. And if there's anything left, I've got my vice grips. I've got a little bit left to collapse here. So I'm just going to grab up my vice grips, clamp it down, then just squish in the piston slowly, so you can see it going down. Tighten them up a little bit. You'll know when you hit bottom. Okay, and that. And I'm going to set the caliper just down over here along the back side, sitting it on the tie rod so it ain't going anywhere. So I used a slide hammer and I cracked this bolt loose already. You're just holding it and then you smack it and you loosen it up. So I did the other side first, to be honest with you, and the threads were just stripped out of it. This one came off, but I just used a drill. This is soft metal, and I just drilled the head off, and I was able to get the other one right out. So, and so we're going to get our brake bar off here, and that's the 17mm. So, we got a socket for that. We crash this one loose. The top one. So we're going to never seize these up before we put them back on. And, that'll be good. Slide the bar off. We're going to get a hammer and smack the rotor a little bit to get it off because there's no never seize on the rotor, so it's going to be kind of seized on there. So we're smacking around a little bit and we grab a hammer for that. We've already matched up our rotor size, so we know it's the correct rotor. You match them up side by side, get the service to make sure it's the right one. We did that. We're going to get our never seize on this. This is going to help with the wheels are aluminum and they were kind of hard to get off here when I took the lug nuts off because they seize right on this. So if you put some never seize around this, you're going to still prevent that from happening. Just get a little bit on our lugs. Don't need a lot. Little goes a long way. Okay, we've got our bolts here. that are going to go through for our bracket. I'm just doing everything now while I have the never-sees in my hand. We'll get these all set up. Okay, we got this one done. Let's do our 2 small bolts for the caliper. Okay, get that done. Now I've got the jelly here for the caliper. So we're going to bring that over for our brake pads in a minute, but you know, we want to lubricate our caliper piston. We want to get that boot with some of this. So we're going to put this on. And this is the rubber boot on the piston. You want to keep this moist because when this dries out, all your brake dust can get sucked in there and it'll shorten the life of the caliper. So put a little on the inside of this right here. So we've got everything set. We've got our spindle never seized. We've got our bolts all never seized. We've got our caliper lubricated up. I'm gonna set this caliper back down on the tie rod so it's out of my way. We're gonna go over and prep our rotor and get the rotor on. And I've also got this little tiny bolt right here. I'm just gonna put a little dab on that. Set that right there. All right, let's go over to our caliper. So a lot of times you're going to find that the brake pads hang up in these slides, and these should move really easy. This one's moving a little bit. This one ain't moving at all. So that gives you a false sense of security. You think you have a nice firm brake pedal, but your brakes really aren't working very well. So, and this happens a lot. So these caliper pads can get tight inside here. So we just knock them out. Actually get frozen right into the clips. Okay. We're going to peel these caliper clips off. These brake bar clips. These off. We've got some new ones. Those are sharp. You're going to be careful with those. So now we're going to take our file and we want to run it across the surface here to take any rust lumps off or anything like that. And then after we do this on both sides, we'll take our wire brush and we'll clean these up. Now this is where our clips sit to go on here. So we want these surfaces to be clean and flat so our clip sits on there. Because if there's rust built up on this, when you put your clips on and you try and get your brake pad in, sometimes the brake pad can hang up and be tight. So ultimately, you want your brake pads to slide back and forth in these clips, easily. And that's what's giving you your best braking power. So people that do a lot of short mileage on their cars, think, my brakes are going to last forever. Well, what can happen is you'll get rust built up in there and your pads get really tight like that. And I fall in that category. I don't do a lot of mileage. And so, at least got to take your brakes apart every couple of years just to, even though the pads aren't worn, just to make sure that these don't get rust built up and your pad isn't frozen in the holder. It's something people overlook a lot. And they get a real firm brake pedal and they think, I got great brakes until the day they have to step on them hard. Unlike Tony, who does 1,000,000 miles, so his brakes are always nice and...
Keep on trucking.
Yeah. So we'll get this all cleaned up in here. Okay, these feel good. We get our new clips here. Now, these brake pads have little pinholes in them right here and right here, and they came with these clips. These clips weren't on the original pads, so different manufacturers, they're going to put these clips on, and we'll show you, and they spread the brake pad out, and that's going to help with it sticking inside here. So we don't want to put any lube on this right now. We just want to line these clips up with these little tabs and then tap these down into place. So we'll get these in like such, and then we want to tap these down. So see how we got it flat down here? That's what you're aiming for. These clips are sharp, so they will cut you. So we're going to try and tap this one down just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, those look pretty flat. That one looks flatter than this one. Okay, that looks better. Try and get these a little flatter, huh? Okay, now it's sounding better. Okay. All right, now we're going to put some caliper pin lube in here. Get low toning. You're going to have to cut the top off, get all the rest of it out.
To get that stuff out of there.
For the price of it, I sure am. Okay. We got our caliper pins. I like to put a little blob in here, so when we push it in, it comes back out at us. Okay, now it's good.
The stuff that Steve's using, it's called caliper pin lube, and I'll put a link to it in the description of the video on Amazon, so you guys can buy it if you need it.
Yeah, it's cheaper to. Well, it's if you buy, I buy it in a 6-pack box, but you guys will only need one box. We do a lot of brakes here, so. They don't give you enough. Like this brake set didn't even give you anything with it. Sometimes they give you that little tiny packet in there, and that ain't enough. So
Detroit Axle is pretty good about giving you some stuff with their brakes.
yeah,
Yeah, I give those
they
guys
give you the brake cleaner and the
yeah, they actually give you
yeah.
a brake cleaner and all kinds of stuff in there. It's I'm running their brakes on some of my stuff, some of my cars.
So on some brake pads, you know, these are just stamped metal. Sometimes there's little burrs and they don't fit really good, and they build paint up on them. And I've just taken a little off the edge of them so that they slide in the brake pad. And they build up the paint on them. When they get these, you get that. So I'm just giving them a quick cleaning. So you can see the burr right there on it.
Yep.
So all I need, and we'll show you why. Of coating on the metal, you know, so that they don't rust, but they over dip them, and then they're really tough to put into the slide clips.
Yep.
And it'll actually make it like a seized brake pad again. Like we just have to knock these out with a hammer.
Right.
When we put these in, these things should be sliding smooth. That's what you want. So the one that has the clip on it, for the squeal sensor. That one goes on the inside. So we've got this one. I'm going to sit this one in the housing. There it is. There it is. See how it's moving good? That's what we want. Okay, I'll flip this side up. You got this side with the clip. Okay. See, they're both moving now. All right, so we're comfortable with that. So we're going to brake clean our rotor and then slip our rotor back on the hub. Now these are Wagner product that we customer got for this one, and they got the nice coated bell here. So when you look through his wheels, you'll be able to see that all painted, and they don't get all rusty. You know, if these are not coated, you know, and you can see through your wheel, then you'll end up seeing a rust ring there. After, well, in New England you will. I don't know about you people in the nice climate states.
You know what rotors I like, Steve? Those Power Stop rotors with the zinc coating on them. Yeah, those work pretty good. Those are actually, rotors work really good.
All right, so let's go slip this back on. Okay, we've got our hole lined up over there, so we're going with this way here. And we've got our tool to lock this in place. This is kind of an assembly line thing that, you know, when it's ripping down the assembly line. So, get that snug, we're good there. All right, let's go get our caliper bar. Okay.
Yep.
So we've got everything set up on here, everything's greased, pins are greased, our brake pads are on. So we're gonna slide it in place. Okay. Now, I just squeezed the brake pads on. We're going to go get those clips last. Put them clips on last, and we'll show you why. So I'm going to get bolt in here. Okay, so we've got our bolts in here. Okay, we got that one caught. We got our top one caught. Now with the never sees on, we can pretty much run them almost all the way down by hand. And these are 17 millimeters. Let's tighten these up. And snug that one, and then I'll tighten this one, and then I'll come back to that other one. Okay, that was tight. That was tight. All right, I'm gonna go grab those clips. So these clips can be kind of a pain in your butt. So we're gonna put one in the bottom here, line it up in the hole. Then we line the other one up. So now they're trying to push the brakes, spreads the brakes out. So if I don't keep these squeezed, this thing could spring my brake pads out, and then I got to start over again. So now I've got both of them in, okay? Make sure they push down. I got them both in and down, right? And I'm still squeezing them with my fingers. And I'm going to take the caliper with this side and swing it over. And I'm still keeping these suckers squeezed, because if you let them go, your brake pads can come out.
That'll suck.
Well, it's just you got to start over putting the brake pads back in the clips, you know? And yeah, it does kind of suck.
It does kind of. Let's call it what it is, Steve.
Yeah. So, get this bolt caught. That's why we had everything set up so that our, you know, we can just get this. So now these springs, those little clips there, they're pushing against the caliper. They're trying to push the caliper up. So now when you step on your brakes and you squeeze the brakes, those little clips are trying to push the brakes out so that they don't drag on the rotor. So not all manufacturers use them. Like the set that we took off of this car prior the manufacturer of the brakes, whoever they were, they didn't use that. So, but that's going to help with the brake pads hanging up in those clips, like we showed you how you have to knock them out with a hammer.
What size is this socket?
This one's a 14.
14 mil.
So tightening this one up, and sometimes you gotta just keep your finger on this stud to get it to tighten, and I did. Now it's tight.
So it doesn't turn.
Okay, so that's tight. And this one's tight. We've got everything lubed. There's no kink in our hose here, so we made sure our hose is nice and smooth. We've got our 17s tight, and we've got the 14s tight. Our rotor's nice and clean. Everything's lubed. And we'll get in there, we'll pump up the brake pedal, and we'll check our fluid. And this is going to be the same process for the other side.